Come on, it's Christmas, can't you just cooperate? My husband, Henry, kept insisting, but the pain in my stomach was so overwhelming that I could hardly think. Wait, something's really wrong. My stomach hurts so much. I tried to explain, but he just wouldn't listen. Give me a break. You're probably faking it. You're so pathetic. Please, I'm serious. If I end up in the hospital, I won't be able to take care of our daughter. Come home now. You need to stop this. I told you not to embarrass me in front of the relatives. Don't ruin my reputation, just deal with the stomach pain, he shouted before abruptly hanging up. Drained from the call, I sank down, only to feel a sudden wetness beneath me. Oh no, my water just broke. Panic set in as I realized I couldn't move, the pain was too intense. I needed to clean up, but all I could think about was our daughter. As I struggled, our daughter Lily, sensing something was wrong, walked into the room. Mom, what's going on? My name is Emily, I'm 35, and I work in an office. I live with my husband, Henry, who also works in an office, and our daughter, Lily, who's in 3rd grade. I had Lily when I was 24, and after not being pregnant for years, I thought it would never happen again, but here I am, 9 years later, expecting another child, due in January. It was unexpected, but my heart is full of joy. Lily is ecstatic about becoming a big sister. I'll help take care of the baby, she beams. But there's one person who isn't happy about the pregnancy, Henry. I'm currently on maternity leave, and he constantly grumbles. You're just lounging around, eating for free. Whose child does he think this is? It's ours. Plus, I'm still getting paid during my leave. I avoid arguing with him to spare his pride, but lately, Lily has been standing up for me. She's got a way with words that often leaves Henry speechless. Mom's taking a break because she's having a baby. Giving birth is hard work. Dad, something you wouldn't understand. She's still doing all the housework, even while pregnant. Why are you being so mean to her? Henry, caught off guard and embarrassed, usually retreats to his room with a flushed face. Thanks to Lily, I've been spared Henry's nightly criticisms. She's been reading pregnancy and childbirth books with me, and I couldn't be prouder of how smart she's becoming, but I still feel guilty that she's witnessing our arguments. I know she'd much rather see us getting along. I've always made an effort to stay on top of housework, partly out of guilt because Henry works so much, but then something happened that changed everything. Henry has a deep attachment to his childhood home and insists on visiting for holidays and other special occasions. If he went alone, it wouldn't bother me, but he always demands that I come with him, insisting that it's my duty as his wife. Don't embarrass me in front of the relatives, he'd say, completely dismissing my feelings and dragging me along. The drive to his parents' house is 6 hours long, so we always stay overnight. My in-laws have been considerate, suggesting, it must be hard to come every time, let's just gather for Christmas. But Henry would stubbornly respond, don't you care about the home I grew up in? I tried reasoning with him, just because we respect your parents' home doesn't mean we have to visit every single time. Isn't it a bit much to go back so often? But he would counter with, it's the home I grew up in. Showing up with my wife and kids is how I honor my parents. Are you trying to stop me from doing that? We clashed over this many times. When our daughter was born, I developed high blood pressure from the pregnancy. I collapsed at my in-laws' house and ended up in the hospital. Yet Henry insisted we return for the next Christmas. I just want to stay home this time. We don't know what could happen, I pleaded with him. Pregnancy isn't an illness. You're worrying too much, he retorted. It's not about liking or disliking your family's home. I'm genuinely concerned. I can't believe you expect me to sit in the car for 6 hours with this huge belly. I didn't need to be hospitalized this time, but I still want to rest at home, especially after what happened before. Please, just listen to me. If something goes wrong, you're the only one I can rely on. Can't we stay home this Christmas? Even after all that, Henry didn't budge. Instead, he got angrier, his face turning red. You just don't want to go back to my family's home, do you? I've been regularly seeing the doctor, and they say everything's fine. I never said I didn't want to go. I'm just genuinely worried. Oh really? Then you talk to my family about it. With that, Henry started dialing his parents' house and handed me the phone. Reluctantly, I took it, and Ethan, his brother, answered. Ethan and his wife live with Henry's parents, so I never understood why we needed to visit so often. Hello, Henry. Oh, Ethan, sorry, it's Emily. Emily, what's going on? Ethan, I'm sorry, but with the baby due on Christmas, I was hoping to stay home. Hearing this, Ethan responded, of course, that makes perfect sense. This is a difficult time for you, and you shouldn't have to worry about family obligations. His words, take care of yourself, brought tears to my eyes. He continued, offering more comfort. We should have been more considerate last time. We never should have let you make the trip. No, it was my fault. I insisted. Don't say that. You're the one going through the hardest part. It's only right that we be considerate. Please let us know if there's anything we can do to help. We're all excited about the new addition to the family. Ethan's kindness overwhelmed me, and I couldn't help but vent about Henry. He's insisting we go to his parents' house this Christmas too. Even though I've expressed my concerns about the baby possibly arriving early, he just brushes them off. He even accused me of not wanting to repay his parents' kindness. My voice quivered as I spoke. Ethan then asked, can you put me on speaker and call Henry? When Henry picked up, Ethan got straight to the point. Henry, are you seriously trying to bring Emily here for Christmas? Yeah, but she's being stubborn and doesn't want to come. Do you even understand why she's hesitant? What? She probably just doesn't want to be around my family. She's being selfish. Ethan's frustration was evident. Have you forgotten what happened last time? What if it happens again? We were all genuinely worried when Emily was hospitalized, and now you're just brushing it off. Are you a doctor? The condition she had last time could have been life-threatening for both her and the baby. How would you take responsibility if something happened? And making her travel for 6 hours? What if she faints on the highway? How long would it take for an ambulance to reach her? Have you even thought about the safety of Emily and the baby? Prioritizing Christmas at our place over the birth of your child is something even a child would understand. It took Ethan's stern words for Henry to finally calm down. I watched as the color drained from Henry's face. It was unbelievable that he needed such a strong wake-up call. Ethan then turned to me and said, I'm truly sorry for the trouble Henry has caused you. Please accept my apologies on his behalf. Spend Christmas at home and relax. I'll inform Mom and the relatives. After the call ended, Henry, clearly embarrassed, muttered, Ethan worries too much. From now on, I'll consult Ethan whenever Henry gives me trouble. Despite the earlier drama, thanks to Ethan's intervention, the early days of December were peaceful, but as Christmas approached, Henry began complaining about not going to his parents' house. On Christmas Eve, after finishing the cleaning and Christmas preparations, my daughter and I settled in to relax. Suddenly, Henry announced, I need to buy something, and left in the car that afternoon. As night fell, he still hadn't returned. He didn't answer my calls, so my daughter and I had our Christmas dinner, sang some carols, and tried to enjoy the evening, but the question lingered in my mind. Where could Henry be? We had our Christmas cake and tried to keep the evening as peaceful as possible. The next morning, Christmas Day, Henry still hadn't returned. I wished he would at least contact me. His prolonged absence was concerning. Though we don't live in an area with heavy snowfall, accidents can still happen. Feeling a mix of irritation and worry, my daughter and I started our meal. Then I received a call from Henry. There was a lot of noise in the background. Hey, you should come over too, he said. Come where? To my childhood home. Of course. What? All the relatives are here having a drink. Hurry up. It turns out Henry had gone to his parents' house on Christmas Eve. You said you were going shopping. Was that a lie? I don't know, but I might eat your portion too, he slurred, clearly drunk. After all my pleas, he hadn't understood a thing. My daughter looked worried, so to avoid a fight, I took the call to another room. Just ask Ethan or a relative to drive you home, I said. Suddenly, a sharp pain hit me, but before I could process it, Henry's tone grew more irritated. Hey, what's with that attitude? I've been putting up with your whims. Cooperate for once. It's Christmas. All I had asked was for him to be patient this Christmas, but he hadn't been cooperative at all. It's embarrassing if everyone's here and we're the only ones missing, Henry continued, but I was too distracted by the intensifying pain. Wait, I'm in a lot of pain right now. It's getting worse, I tried to convey, but Henry wouldn't listen. Really? You're probably faking it. You're so deceitful. It really hurts. If I end up in the hospital, who will take care of our daughter? Come home now. You stop it. I told you not to embarrass me in front of the relatives. Don't tarnish my reputation. Just bear with the pain, Henry shouted before abruptly ending the call. Exhausted from my argument with Henry, I collapsed. only to feel a sudden wetness below. Oh no, my water broke. I tried to move, but the pain was becoming unbearable. I needed to clean up, but more pressing was the thought of what to do about my daughter. In the midst of my agony, Lily, looking anxious, entered the room. Mom, where's Dad? Sweetie, can you come here for a moment? What's wrong, Mom? Lily, can you call an ambulance with this phone? I could barely speak through the pain, and as I watched her face fill with concern, I realized I hadn't taught her how to call for help. Before I could explain, she said, "I'll get the neighbor," and rushed out. Moments later, our neighbor arrived. Lily, sensing she couldn't handle it alone, had wisely sought adult help. "Emily, are you all right? I'll call an ambulance right away," our neighbor said as they dialed for help. I felt immense relief knowing we had such supportive neighbors. Lily held my hand, trying to comfort me as we waited. The neighbor also contacted my parents. When the ambulance finally arrived, I gave birth later that day to a healthy baby boy, though a bit early. The next day, my parents arrived at the hospital. I tried to reach Henry, but he was unreachable and nowhere to be found. He only appeared after New Year's, brought by Ethan. Although Ethan wasn't directly involved, he apologized for the delay. "I'm sorry for being late." Henry turned off his phone on Christmas. I didn't realize what had happened until now. Henry, who had been sulking, reacted with surprise. "What? You think you can talk about divorce?" Ethan, clearly taken aback, responded. "Henry, what are you saying? Emily is just exaggerating. She wants attention." Just then, the door opened. "What did you just say?" It was my father, who had just returned from lunch with Lily. Henry looked visibly shaken. "Henry, do you always speak to my daughter like that?" "No, I mean. Answer me." My father's anger was palpable. "My daughter was in pain, and you accused her of faking it. Seeing her now, can you still say that?" "Enough. She will stay with me for a while, and you won't see her or the baby, understood?" Henry seemed to finally realize the seriousness of his actions. "But who will take care of me while I'm at work?" I've reconsidered my earlier thoughts. He's truly irredeemable. Do it yourself. She managed work and house responsibilities even before her maternity leave, right? If you're an adult, you should be able to handle it, my father scolded Henry. Henry tried to argue, but Ethan intervened. "I am truly sorry for Henry's behavior. Congratulations on the baby, though it's late. Please accept this gift." Ethan handed me a present and then left with Henry. "Dad, I'm sorry for the trouble. When he asked for your blessing, I thought he was a trustworthy man. I spent some time recovering at my parents' house, and fortunately, my daughter was on winter break. After about 2 weeks, I returned to the house with my father. I left our baby boy and daughter in my mother's care. Upon arriving, I was met with the sight of Henry and a house in disarray, littered with trash. It was clear he hadn't cooked. Fast food and delivery boxes were strewn about. We sat in the living room, with my father joining us, and I began the conversation with Henry. "Frankly, I want a divorce," I said, handing him the divorce papers. "You're serious about this? Henry, can't you even thank me for giving birth?" "Oh, what? It's natural for a mom to give birth. It's not like you're working." Henry's attitude was appalling from the start. My father's expression grew stern as Henry continued his nonsensical remarks. "So, the baby's a boy, huh? Then I don't want a divorce. I've always wanted a son. I'll raise him to be a baseball player. Didn't Ichiro become a star because he practiced with his dad? I want to do that." I was stunned. What did he think of his own child? "I don't think Ichiro's dad saw his son as a means to fulfill his own dreams," I said. Before I could say more, the living room door burst open. I tried to be patient, but I can't listen to this nonsense any longer. It was my mother-in-law. Henry looked shocked by her sudden arrival. "Henry, get a grip. Who do you think manages everything while you work stress-free? Who takes care of the kids, cooks every meal, and keeps this house running? It's all thanks to Emily. Look at the state of this house after just 2 weeks without her. You're ungrateful. Divorce is the only option. Don't cause Emily any more trouble." My mother-in-law's outburst left Henry speechless. He signed the divorce papers without further protest. With the help of a lawyer, I ensured Henry would pay child support for both our daughter and son. As for Henry's current situation, he's been sent back to his parents' house, where he's being retrained by his mother and Ethan in daily chores and cooking. He seems to struggle with the housework and frequently complains about wanting to escape. It's ironic how the man who once loved being at his parents' house now dreads it. On the other hand, I completed my maternity and parental leave and returned to work. Thanks to the generosity of my in-laws, I received the house Henry and I had lived in as part of the property division. I'm truly grateful for their kindness, as they didn't want my daughter to transfer schools and feel isolated. My daughter is understandably disappointed in Henry and is refusing to see him, even though we've just divorced. I have no plans for our son to see him either. I think it's best if Henry's parents deal with him for now. Perhaps one day, if he changes his ways and the kids want to see him, I might consider it, but that day may never come. Regardless, I'm determined to raise our children right. I'll work hard today and every day for their sake.